Hey everyone, Delvon Digital here, and I'm with my man Roddy, and we doing our very first podcast together. So let's just get it. I'm gonna let Roddy take the mic and let him introduce himself and what he do.
Yeah, Roddy Merritt. I own a company called Merritt Productions. We're a digital marketing agency, and you can't be into digital without being in the tech. So a few years ago, when I started my company, I decided to start doing more tech stuff, and that kind of turned into reviews. And yeah, now here we are. So yeah, just I
Okay,
love
all
tech.
right,
I've always kind of loved tech. I grew up kind of a tech nerd, and it's just stuck with me as an adult.
good man, good. Like a little bit about me for the ones that don't know who I am. I am Delvon Digital, aka Mr. Pixel. That's my name, and that's what's going around, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm into tech too, but before I was into tech, I was a full blown gangster out here in these streets. No, just playing, just playing. I want that great. I want that great, but I want full blown. But yeah, I'm into tech and everything like that. My channel is about pixels and other content, but mainly pixel. If you want to see pixel content, got the best pixel content on the block. So yeah, that's all I got to
Really
say.
does. It's
Oh
not. It's
yeah,
real facts. Real facts.
you already know. So we're gonna get right into this podcast. So me and Roddy actually share similar and different experiences using the Pixel. So we're just gonna kind of open this up, talking about the Pixel experience itself and why he may like it or not like it, or his issues that he may have, or anything for that matter. Just his experience with the Pixel experience. So I'm gonna Roddy. I'm gonna give you the mic. You go first, bro.
Yeah. So I've always kind of, I guess, been a fan of underdogs, and I've always felt like the Pixel was the underdog kind of in the U.S. And even before, I don't think Pixel's always been like top three like it is now, like in that top three spec here in the US where it's Apple, Samsung, Pixel now. I think they've come up to that place. But I've always been as kind of a fan of them as an underdog. I like their aesthetic and their clean design and all that kind of stuff. But I think also, like, since the Pixel 6, it's that has been like even more heightened as far as like kind of the way that, so when I look at a piece of tech, like I have like my top three criteria of like what I like, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
like for me, like I put design at the top. Like to me, the phone's gotta look good, or the camera's gotta look good, or the screen, or whatever. And so I go aesthetic first. And then after aesthetic, I like a good solid camera. And you can relate to that because you're a photographer.
You know what?
So camera is high on the list. But I wouldn't say that camera is like number two, but it's neck and neck with power. I'm a power user. I carry two phones daily, all the time, no matter where I'm at. Typically, one's an Android, one's an iPhone, and no matter what phone I have, which is usually some flagship, both of those phones are close to 20% at night after I've used them for the day. Now I've got three phones. I've got an office phone, a phone that's just for work and business, and the other two phones kind of stay on charge when I use that phone. So that just kind of tells you how heavy my usage is, and I'm doing way too much on a phone than I should. But it's just so convenient to use that. It's just so convenient to use that thing that's in your pocket, that's in your hand, that's easy to hold versus having a monitor and having all this. So for me, it's like those are my top three things, and I know it's kind of like biased or whatever because people are like they like this brand or they like that brand, but I'm not biased at all. I'm you. We'll talk about it later, but I'm not even like a full blown Pixel user right now. But to me, right now Pixel has the best design when it comes to any phone that's out there. I just really like what they're doing. I like the camera bar, the visor. I think it looks really good. I like symmetry, so it's symmetrical to have that bar across instead of stuff shoved into a corner. I'm not crazy about that. So like the aesthetic gets me, and then just the experience of just using a Pixel. It does the smart things. I know everybody's like you say. I've heard you say before. It's like it's a true smartphone, and it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is. We talked about this the other day. Like my phone, I told it to play some. I did the hey, G word. I'm not gonna say it because all your stuff's gonna go off in your house.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But I did the call thing and I told it to play some music from XM radio because I like XM. And it said to do that, I needed an XM subscription. And if I had an XM subscription, it could look it up, but it needed access to my login information, my email, my phone number, and a picture of my face. And it said, do you want to allow access? I said, yes. And the next thing I knew, it had logged me into my XM account through Gmail or through Google and started playing the music. Like I didn't have to touch anything. I didn't have to go to my email, nothing. It just automatically did it. And no other phone, no other ecosystem, nothing is doing that. Like I know there's capabilities to do some of that stuff or similar stuff in certain things, but to me, like no one's doing it like that. And that's between the aesthetics and then the smart things that Google does. Those are my two things of like, why I want that phone company to succeed, and I want to see more stuff from them, and I want to support them. So that's where I'm at on Google.
So there's like a lot of stuff like going on with the Pixel. Some people have like really bad experiences. Some people have great experiences. It's never really consistent across the board. So what would you say your experience overall been? Has it been good or bad?
So for me, I thought about this and I just recently figured something out. For me, what Google is really good at, as far as like their mobile devices or even like some of their home stuff, like it's really good for business. Like if you're inside like the Google, I guess you can call it their ecosystem. I hate using buzzwords like that, but like. I have been a long time Gmail user, like forever. And so I've got a ton of stuff in Google Drive. I love using Sheets better than anything else. I love using Google Keep better than anything else. I like, just the whole Google suite. And part of my business, I've got a business suite connected to that too. So for me, I just recently started converting in my entire office here over to Google. I've got the Google Nest here. I'm going to put the Nest Minis in here. I'm going to put the cameras in here, and I'm going to have a Google office. And I've even thought about, like, I've just recently started hiring some people for my company. I've thought about buying all of them like a Pixel 6a or a Pixel 7a or something like that for like a work phone for them to use, because whenever you're connected through all the Google stuff, it's kind of like, that's so easy to have. So for me, like, I think everybody's just kind of different of what they want, but I think like for me, I wouldn't say my experience it hasn't like blown me away, but I do, what I can appreciate about Google is that they have made progress. They've made forward progress. And probably everybody's like, well, what does that mean? Well, the Pixel 8 Pro feels faster. It feels more premium. To me, it's gotten even better looking than the 7 Pro. It feels like an upgrade. And I'm not going to say it's a huge upgrade, but it's like, everyone talks about Tensor being like, it's an Exynos knockoff or whatever. Okay. But I'm like, yeah, but I used the 7 Pro last year and I wasn't super impressed with it. And this year I picked up the 8 Pro and I was like, whoa, like the battery was better, the performance was better, the camera was better, the way it looked and felt and feel, it was all better. It was faster. It seemed more capable. And even to Google's credit, picking up something like a Fold or even a 7a that had Tensor G2 in it, those even felt smoother than my 7 Pro from last year, which means it's not just Tensor getting better, but also Google software and the way they're using it gets better. So to me, it's like when you think about, most people aren't buying a new phone every year unless they're like us and they're crazy about tech. Most people are getting a phone and keeping it at least 2 years. In the US at least, we've been trained to keep a phone for at least 2 years because we got suckered into contracts or whatever, right? So for me, It's kind of like, it's one of those deals where it's like, you see the progression of Google getting better and better. It makes you a little bit more, I guess, trustworthy or trusting them to be like, hey, if I get this phone, I got to keep it for 2 years. I know it's probably going to be pretty good because their software gets better. They push those updates out. Um, and their some of their newer devices that came out are still using devices from last year that came out. So
Okay.
to me, you just kind of trust them a little bit more. So that's kind of how I feel. It's like they're a trustworthy company. They you know they seem like they're sticking with this whole mobile system. They're not going to kill it like they've done in the past for some other stuff. And I think that's what they're trying to get away from, is being known as the company that like just kills stuff off. Like they're really starting to hone in on like their focus of like, hey, this is who we are, this is our identity, this is what we look like.
Mhm.
So I can appreciate that. And I think that not enough people appreciate really truly like what they're doing, how they're progressing, how their products are getting better. You know, 4 years ago, a Pixel phone was not even mentioned whenever you talked about who are the big players in the industry. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
like, for them to like rapidly come to the top and be like one of the big names out there, to me, I just don't think people appreciate that enough. And I think that people need to pay more attention and not have such a negative outlook because someone said, "Oh, well, this processor is not very good because of a benchmark score." You know what I mean? So for me, it's
Yeah.
like I picked up the Fold. I didn't think I was going to because I was really worried about it, but so many people talked really good about it. It was a new foldable device. I've liked foldables. I wanted to try something different, and I was skeptical going into it. And like this phone has like won me over 100%. It's not perfect, but I've just been really impressed with like, to me, it's been way smoother than I thought it was going to be. It's been way more capable. The battery life's been better than I thought it was going to be. The screens have been better. The size, which was the biggest thing holding me back from it, I end up liking better than a larger foldable that's taller. So yeah, there's just been a lot of stuff for me that was just like I'm growing more and more to like what they're doing. I'm just wanting to see where they go as well. So to me,
Yeah.
me right now, out of those big three, Google is the most I won't say
Exciting.
important. Yeah, yeah, they're the most exciting for sure. I was gonna say they were the most important, but I don't know if I'd say they're the most important, but they're definitely the most exciting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So my experience has been pretty solid. Just like Roddy said that he wanted to get like all the Google Nest products everywhere. I actually have them everywhere in my house, the cameras and all, and they actually work pretty great. For the most part, just like any tech, stuff is going to fail you every so often. I mean, it's tech, it's running off internet, it's running off all kinds of protocols and all kinds of different things. So stuff do happen. So if I had to like label my Pixel experience to be, good or bad, I would have to say it's mostly been good because I have more success with the Pixel and the Google products itself than I have failures with it. But I do have failures with it. Nothing is ever perfect. My Pixel hasn't been like the most perfect phone ever, but it hasn't failed me in areas where I actually needed it. Like just the other day, um, I was driving, asked my wife if she wanted to get some food from somewhere. So we like to get food from Burger King, and the Burger King app just wouldn't find my location for the world. So instantly I can say it was the Pixel, right? Or I can say it's just like maybe the signal where I'm at, or maybe it's the Burger King app. It could have been any of those three things, but it's easy to just blame it on the Pixel itself and saying like, well, my iPhone would have caught this, or my Samsung would have got this or whatever. But it happens, and the Burger King app is kind of sucks because it didn't even work at that moment on both of my Pixels until I drove a little bit further down the street. It both of them end up loading in the car, and I was like, okay, so I kind of chopped it up to the signal or something at the where I was at because I actually pulled over. But stuff like that's just an example of what I mean. Like, it's not really a big deal. Only going to the Burger King app to get coupons and stuff to get cheaper food. So it's not a big deal. But anything as far as my phone calls, taking pictures, texting, anything that's I need reliable, because social media is not reliable. Like
Right,
that's not a thing that I need to have to worry about. But
right.
I need my phone to make a call. I need it to be able to send messages, and I needed the camera to be working in the video. And all of that stuff has been reliable for my needs. So if a social app is glitchy and messed up, whatever, man. It's either the social app, or it's the Pixel. So it's not a big deal. or it's a signal, or it could be the phone at the time. But if it's worked on the phone perfectly before, it ain't the phone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been my experience.
Yeah, and I agree, because like for me, I've always, like I said, I'm always carrying at least 2 phones, sometimes 3 phones, depending on what I'm doing. And there's been times where I've had the Fold, and I'm like, why am I not getting good signal? And I immediately like want to blame the device, because I've heard, poor modems and tensor and this, that, and the other. But then
Yeah.
I'll pick up another phone that's sitting right beside me and go, oh, well, that signal's low there too. It just must be AT&T's having a problem or whatever, because I'm on AT&T.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same. It is. It's just like every time I want to blame the phone, I can easily pick up another device next to it and check and see, like, does this device do what I'm trying to do where Tensor's not, or where the Pixel's not? And I'm just like, for the most part, I can't really find, and I don't, to this day, like, I can't think of anything this year that I've had where the Pixel failed and I was just like, this is what I'm talking about, because it doesn't just happen on the Pixel. Does that make sense? Like, I haven't had like one specific thing happen on the Pixel that hasn't happened on other phones that makes me go, it's the fault of the Pixel. And like I said, I mean, I'm using my phone for crazy stuff. Like I'm editing websites. I shouldn't be doing that on my phone. Like, I'm logging in and turning on the desktop view and trying to sitting at a restaurant with my friends, like trying to edit a website real quick. You shouldn't do that on phone. Like, but I'm trying to do that.
Definitely shouldn't.
Yeah, but it does it, and that's I see everybody's complaints, like on Twitter and stuff. Like, they're complaining. It comes to like the bulk of what the phone is supposed to do: phone calls, text messages, browsing social media apps and some of your the big apps or whatever. It does all of that stuff really well. Like, there's not a time where you're going to go, this phone just lags and I can't use it.
And that's important, because if you think about it, the average consumers, that is what they are doing. They're making calls, they're texting, they're taking pictures, maybe some videos, and they're on social apps. And I think for the most majority of everyone who uses it, they're fine. It's like the tech community knows that it's underpowered for certain things, and that's what they want to engage with the most. They know it, but they want to engage with that the most.
Yeah.
And be like, well, it can't do this and it can't do that. Or that's the ones who don't own it versus the ones who do own it. You hear more people who don't own the phone complain about the power of the phone than people who actually owns the phone that complain about it, which is just weird to me. But still, it's like, it's a phone in the end of the day. And there's a lot of variety of phones out there. People want the Pixel to be this one-stop phone for gaming, power editing, average consumer video, photo. It's just not. And that's fine, because what the Pixel do, other phones aren't doing. It's probably the best quality of life phone out on the market, period.
I would agree with that.
It has so many flaws, but none of those flaws bother me, because I'm not picking up my Pixel to play Call of Duty, or wait, let me say, because it plays Call of Duty fine. I'm not playing Genshin Impact, because that's the new benchmark game, right? I'm not picking up, I'm not like, oh, I'm going down to the store and I'm going to go buy me the Pixel so I can play Genshin Impact. Probably no. That's not my no. If anything, I'm like, I'm going to go get it for a camera. For the camera, probably for the AI features, and just that stuff. Just the quality of life features. Updates, the support, all of that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So people just got to start thinking in that mindset. And I try to step out of the whole tech head person and just try to think about what an average consumer would do in using their phone. And my mom all day long plays one freaking game all day long to play that makes money. It's some kind of game that makes money. I don't know what it is, but she plays some game. And that's it. And she check her lottery. She get on the browser. She do basic stuff. We go out to eat. She takes pictures of her grandkids and her kids and everything else. She doesn't do any, or none of those people at that table talk about any of the stuff that we talk about, whether they have an iPhone in their hand or whether they have a Pixel in their hand or a Galaxy phone. I ain't gonna say any Chinese phones because you don't see those out here in America unless it's a tech person. But yeah, you get the point.
Yeah.
It does what it do, and I'm not saying it's the best phone out there. Matter of fact, it's definitely not the best phone out there, right? But it's the best phone for me. I can tell you that
Yeah.
much. It works better for me than any other phone out there. But yeah, it lacks a lot of areas. But the areas where it lacks, for me, is not a big deal. It doesn't bother me because I know I'm not buying it for the reason that you're complaining about.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100% on that.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, we're gonna move on to foldables real quick. So, just kind of briefly tell us like, what's your experience with the foldables and why you decided to move over to a foldable instead of a slap phone, even though we know that you still carry a slap phone.
Yeah, yeah. So I really love foldables, and a lot of people, most everyone that as a tech person on Twitter that follows me or whatever, they know that I love foldables. So I waited. Um, I'm a pretty patient person when it comes to tech, so I waited for the Z Fold 3 to get a full cover display before I got one. I wanted the first two that came out, but I was like, I don't want that little big front screen. So whenever the Fold got a full covered screen, I got the 3. Was the first one I got, and I really liked that phone. But man, the battery was so bad on that phone. Like it was, the way I was using that phone, and I used that phone for a year and didn't have a whole lot of other stuff in the house with that phone. But I would walk around with that phone in battery save mode all the time, unless I really needed like 120 hertz. Like if I was going to be scrolling a lot and using it a lot on social media or whatever. But for the most part, I walked around with the battery save mode on that phone, and it still was very hard to make it through the end of the day. So when the Fold 4 came out, I got it. Before I got it, I got a Flip 4, which was fantastic. But the Fold 4, I was just, when I got the Flip, and the Flip was so good with that 8 Plus Gen 1 chip in it, I was just like, I've got to get a Fold and try it with this new chip because it's so good. That chip was great. And so I got the Fold 4, and it, to me, that I was like, okay, this is good. But I was kind of like everyone else. It was like the little narrow screen on the front didn't bother me as much. I use voice to text a lot, and then it didn't. Everybody talks about, I don't really like to type with two hands a whole lot. I usually have like coffee in one hand, or I'm doing, whatever, holding something and texting with one hand. It's usually, driving and texting at a red light. Worst thing you can do, right? But I usually like the one. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I grew up too, was like your phone was so small, you text with one hand, right? Like I remember the days like when I was back in school and like I had my phone in my pocket or in my hoodie, and I was like, I could text without looking at it, and I was texting inside my pocket. So I was just used to that. So it didn't really bother me that much, but it did feel really like bulky because it was so long. So like if you put it in your pocket, it just felt like it was just like trying to like fall out of your pants or something. I don't know. It was just an awkward thing to hold. So I was really excited when the Pixel Fold came out, because I was like, it's a little bit wider, hopefully it'll be okay. But I was worried it was going to be too short, like it was going to be too cramped. But after getting it and using it, this is why you can't really judge a phone until you use it. After I got it and I used it, I was like, oh, this is nice. Like it's like a little passport. So to me, that phone feels very professional. Like it's the device. I tell people this all the time. It's the device. Like to me, I see like if you were some kind of businessman or businesswoman, or in a professional setting, or you're dressed in a suit and tie all day long or whatever, it's that device. Like you could pull it out of your coat pocket or your pants pocket or your purse or whatever, and it looks professional. It's not like a big slap phone that's like sitting on a desk and like everybody's looking at it because there's a big phone laying out there. It kind of looks like a small little passport or something like that. So to me, again, true Google form and fashion, they came out of the gate with a product that looks the best of any product that's out there. and I'll get a little bit more into that why. But then it was kind of like you got all the smart features that you get with Pixel phones, and then you got all of your camera stuff, even though it wasn't cameras from the 7 Pro or the 8 Pro, you still got solid cameras and a solid camera system in this smaller form factor. I don't know, to me that form factor is just a lot more easy to pocket. You can still text on the front screen and use the front screen like a normal phone. I had problems on my Fold where if I had it all the way open and was using the inside, and apps didn't know what to do with that landscape ratio or whatever, I'd try to close it and use it like a normal phone, but you still got this weird skinny form factor, and it, like, the apps would get confused and couldn't figure it out.
So I haven't used a Z Fold. Well, I had the Z Fold 3 for about maybe a week, and I took it back. I never really like, it was too thin, so I instantly took it back. I actually got it on T-Mobile at the time. I didn't buy it. I bought it on T-Mobile for the plan upgrade.
What'd you take it
I
back
took it back
for?
and
What'd you get?
because it was just it was the I took it back and just got a Pixel and just I was like, because I wasn't ready to dive into the foldables yet. I wanted to try it because the hype about it. So the question I have, because I didn't use it really long enough, but I did notice that I didn't like the apps in portrait mode because they were like really thin. Like they fill the screen, but when you split screen them, it's like, you get about this much of the app for both sides instead of like that. And I know it makes sense because, like, if I'm holding the phone, like I'm holding my Pixel right here, if I do that here, it'd be like this would be this, it's split screen like right here down the middle. But I know common sense would tell you to just turn the Fold this way and use it that way. But the crease and stuff like that reverses itself. Anyways, did you find that the apps were like too long split screen in portrait landscape?
Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at, was that was my biggest hang up about it. Was there were times where I felt like I couldn't turn it either way when it was fully unfolded, but then whenever I closed it, I still got this real skinny experience. And I was like, that's kind of a downfall versus like on the Pixel, like, not to keep praising it, but like on the Pixel, I can have those times where, like, I feel like maybe the app's getting confused because it doesn't really want to know what to do because I'm on the beta and I'm forcing it to stretch. But like,
same.
But it's stable, but it's just the apps aren't utilized for that folding format yet. But when you do the split screen, like you said, a lot of times I can do split screen and it works fine. It's only whenever I'm stretching it that I have a hang up. But the thing I couldn't do on the Fold that I can do on the Pixel is I can close it and it's like, it works like a normal phone. And so I would rather, I know that a lot of people they're probably going, oh, well, you shouldn't have that problem either way. No, you shouldn't. But we're still like in the infancy of like baby foldable territory. Like, it's still less than 1% of people are using a foldable. But
yeah, they ain't the normal yet.
Yeah, but to me, again, like Pixel's doing that better. I've heard people complaining about similar issues with the OnePlus Open. Again, I'm not a big fan of the way that phone looks. Why I hadn't picked one up. Like, I'm not crazy about that big circular camera bump on the back. That's just, you got a rectangle with a big circle on it. It's weird, but I've always heard for like years now that OnePlus has just really struggled with their software experience, and I'm just like, I'm not giving up I'm not giving up 3 of the best experiences for that just so I can have a thin foldable that's a normal size, like a slab phone on the outside. And to me, it kind of like defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, if I want a slab phone, I'll get a slab phone. I'm not going to go buy a foldable that has a slab phone cover screen. I know people like that, but it's just like kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I think for me, and this is me, just because I don't want nobody to think that I'm like biased towards Pixel or anything like that. It is like my favorite phone brand out there right now, but I do like a lot. Stop that, Roddy. But After using the Fold 3, and I never used the open whatever, I don't plan on it either, but I do think that Google actually has the right form factor for foldables. And I'm only saying this because, like what Roddy said, the outside screen is like a normal phone here, and this size screen is pretty much, if anybody ever owned the iPhone 11 Pro, this or the iPhone 10 Pro or all of that, 11 and well, the 12 Pro went to 6.1, I think, at the time. So yeah, this is just 5.8 inches. This is a size that a lot of people actually like for their phone to be. So this is a normal, this, no matter how you look at it, this is a normal phone. It just might not be the normal big phone. I mean, obviously the bigger phones are longer, and this is like an iPhone size, and this is like the phones that you're used to. So OnePlus went with this, which is totally fine because more people have phones that's like this, because you really can't find any more 5.8 inch phones out there anymore. But the reason why this makes sense to me is because when you open this up, it opens in landscape. This makes sense because when I'm using a tablet, my tablets are in landscape mode 99, actually 100% of the time. Really, I don't really use tablets in portrait mode. So it makes sense. This form factor really makes sense to transform your phone right here into a tablet right here. Now, everyone else is kind of like doing it this way. This is what you're getting. So you're getting like split screen, and you're getting two elongated apps on the side and stuff like that, where you have to like open it and then rotate it.
OnePlus is just a square when you open it. It's not even, it's so you don't even get one or the other. It's symmetrical all the way around. So
I see.
As somebody using a foldable, I'm like, I've used enough foldables to know square is not going to be good. It's not going to work because apps they're utilized for this shape. They're utilized for that long rectangular. And like you said, it's the truth. Like my tablet's sitting over here with a keyboard on it, and it's not sitting up and down like this because it's a tablet. We hold tablets like this and we use them. Like even my little nephew who's 3 years old, you hand him a tablet, he's not holding it in portrait mode. He puts in landscape mode. Like it's just natural for us to do that. So yeah, I'm 100% with you. Like people want to argue back and forth about it, but it's true. It's like, it is to me right now, it's the best of normal phone that opens to a small tablet.
Yep. So that's the one thing I like about the foldables. And for me, my photo experience has been pretty good. Besides being on the beta, like Roddy said, the beta has so many bugs. And I'm the type of person, I started to stop talking about a lot of bugs online because it just feeds to the fire that's already sparked about, at least about Pixels for that matter. But I don't do it with any phone anymore. But I do ask for troubleshooting help sometimes online. Of course, I ask the company as well, but sometimes I'll ask for certain problems. Can anybody having this? Can you help me? But just talking about bugs is stupid, especially if I'm on a beta anyways, and I'm saying this ain't doing that, because first person who hates Pixel is going to jump under there and try to, retweet it, repost it, and say, hey, yeah, that's why, the tensor is crap. And then they're going to start saying all this stuff like that. It just feeds onto the hate. So I really try to just use my phone for what it is. But if you're watching this podcast, yes, I be going through bugs with my Pixel in beta, really with the apps and the rotation of them sometimes, because sometimes I can have an app right here and then I open it up and it's supposed to it's supposed to come on and show me the app, but it don't sometimes. So then I have to sit here. That's the problem I be having. Now I can replicate that 1,000 times over because it just doesn't work even when you're closing it. And I'm on the right beta that has that feature. So sometimes it don't work, but it's not like a big deal because I know that I'm on beta and I know I'm going to have bugs. So that's why I can't wait for the December feature drop to come so I can just get off of this beta. I'm going to get off the beta then because the features that I want are in the December feature drop. I just got them early because when they came to the beta, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to December. I need that. And what I really needed, what it really was, that I really wanted, and the reason why I have it in the first place is so that my apps are stretched. That's what it is. That's the reason why I'm on this beta right here. I'm dealing with all these bugs so they can be stretched. So everything stretches like they're supposed to be across the screen.
and it
That's
looks
it.
great. So
Yes, it
I
really
know,
does.
I mean, again, it goes back to like what I said at the beginning. It's like I know the reason why Google didn't have that in there is because they wanted to force more companies to push into foldables. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's kind of like, can you figure out a better way to do that? But
Yes. Yeah.
I will tell you this too. I will tell you this too. I'm super glad that they didn't go with, because I don't know if the Fold is still using it or not, but you know, they had a separate version of Android for those foldables. They had 13L. I don't know
Yes.
if they
Yes.
have a
I think they still. I
14L.
think they still do. I think they still do, but they just don't call it that anymore. I guess
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think it is because if you notice your Pixel Fold has it, and the tablet has it, but the phones don't have it. So I think it's still segregated. So we get like separate updates as far as the Pixel Fold and the Pixel tablet. So
Gotcha.
pretty sure their updates are shared because of the form factor in the photo. Because literally, because I got the Pixel tablet, which is in the other room, the Pixel Fold UI is exactly the Pixel tablet UI. It's really that same exact UI,
I
everything.
got you.
So yeah,
It seems
and the only
better
other
though to me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like it in this form factor. Like they did a really good job with this. Like they really did a good job with this Pixel Fold. Like I say, obviously we can talk about things like the bezels and stuff like that people complain about. Have they ever got in my way? No. Do I want them thinner? Yeah, I could do with thinner ones. I mean, it's not a big deal to me, but if they do, it's just other things I want. People talk about the charging, the battery life, and all stuff like that. um with phones with me, here's a secret that I want to talk about with a lot of my devices, because people be questioning like how you always getting good battery life. Well, this is the thing. So if when I'm using my phone, my text messaging and my Telegram, and maybe just them two apps are the only apps on this phone that I actually receive notifications from. Literally all my other stuff, or maybe my Google Meet as well, but any app that's not a communication app, like for me to reach my son and my wife and my mom and my family or anything, notifications are turned on. But if there are apps that like social apps, all the notifications are turned off, because I'm going to get on my phone and I'm going to go to my social apps regardless. And when
Yeah.
I go to those social apps, I'm going to have notifications in there waiting for me to read, like right here in Twitter. I'm always going to have like notifications going on. I don't want it to keep on dinging my phone and vibrating and making sounds. That's what's really killing the batteries on a lot of these devices out there. Granted, you probably have yours turned on and you still get stellar battery life, but this is how I get stellar battery life, because I don't have all these unnecessary notifications. And it goes the same thing for my Pixel Watch that everyone complained about. It just doesn't last a day. This thing can go 2 days for me. I can go into, well, I ain't gonna say 48 hours. I'll say like maybe like 40, right? I could get that far in with the Pixel Watch because the notifications for all my social stuff is turned off. So it only dings my phone whenever it's about my fitness workout stuff or my, messaging apps, like literally. So that's something that y'all need to think about if you want better battery life on a lot of these phones, because you're up there having a conversation with somebody on Twitter and it's just dinging back and forth, but you're in the app waiting for them to reply back. But you leave out the app so it can ding and vibrate your phone. Just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, that's my little secret. I get that battery life.
Mine is
But
screen brightness. I know that's how I get better than a lot of other people's. Mine is like I don't know if it's my eyes or what, but like I don't run full brightness all day long. Like I have adaptive brightness on, and I usually, like when I pick my phone up, I usually look at it, and sometimes it's too bright, and I'll lower it down some more. But my phone's never at full brightness, and I know that helps. That helps it a lot. But
yeah.
I have all my notifications on. Like everything's coming through. I probably get 10, 20,000 notifications. I mean, that dude's just blowing up all day long. I mean, I run a company that 90% of what I do is running other people's social media. So it's like I got to keep up with my clients to make sure.
Well, in your situation, it makes sense though. Just like for me, that's I just turn them off. Like I'm pretty popular on Twitter, so I I get notifications all the time. They're always coming in every minute, every second, and stuff like that. So I just turn it off or whatever. But yeah, that just goes for everything. But that's Roddy has this thing, brightness. I keep mine on auto. So my conversation would be turning off my notifications. His would be turning down his brightness.
But I also think too, I think that people don't spend enough time like setting their phone up to fit them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think most people are just used to turning the phone on, getting logged into everything, getting their app set up, and then that's it. Like they don't dig into the settings, they don't play around with different settings, and I think it's important. Like I think too that goes to like what phone you prefer is which one you can like set up to really fit you. Like which phone is like really fits you. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why like I was telling somebody the other day, I think that's why I think Pixel is good for someone like you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, they're gone.
Oh,
it must have been a package.
Oh,
yeah. I think I got a package.
But like you're an artist, so like you can appreciate the aesthetics of the of Google's software. Like that's because to me that's really it's a beautiful, elegant, smooth, clean. To me that's probably something that most artists can appreciate more than like a common everyday person. Versus like the people that are getting a Samsung, they're probably a little techie or a little nerdy, or they probably are a gamer because their one UI is very tech forward. You know what I mean?
It is, or they need a little more. They need the S Pen, they need these other type of features that it offers. And I thought I did, and because before I was like a Pixel guy, I was a Samsung guy, and I felt that way too. I was like, I'll never leave Samsung. I committed to them, but then I got the Pixel 6, and that just changed literally everything. I didn't realize that I didn't need all that stuff because half the stuff that's done on my Galaxy phone is really done on my tablets. So I didn't really need that or whatever. So so that's where I'm at now. I'm with Pixels, but I feel you. Like Samsung do offer so much for a lot of people, and sometimes they offer too much for certain people, and I always try to recommend the Pixels only when I figure out what the person wants to do on their phone, because that's the first question I ask, because I'm like, hey, they're like, I want to get a new phone. What should I get? I'm like, okay, iOS or Android? Well, I've been using Android, so I want to go Android. Okay, cool. What you do on your phone? Then they describe what they do on their phone. Then I try to think like, well, how long are you going to keep your phone? And I ask questions like that too, because I would recommend a Pixel, for longevity. And I would recommend Samsung if you're like this power user and you're using it for like, I don't want to just say business, because we always get in this mindset that iPhones are for business and Samsung phones are for business, but Pixel's not. Roddy just said that he uses his phone for business. He want to get his team Pixels. I'm so sorry. Pixels as well. And that makes sense because Google Suites and Google Apps are so good for business. I use my Google Apps for my business. For my photography business is what I'm using everything through Google Apps. And like you said, it's so seamless how it syncs between each other. So if he had it, he can just send stuff. For this podcast, I sent Roddy, I collaborated with him with Google Keep. That's what we're using to get our notes from. And I just sent him an email to it, and he's in the collaboration. So any changes I make in there, he's going to see it. That is just so seamless. So it's really great for business. So with that being said, let's move on to the next section real quick so we won't be doing this thing too long. Let's talk about our equipment that we use. Some people be, they be wondering what we use for our channels, and a lot of YouTubers don't really talk about what their gear is. So I'm gonna let you go first. You can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about as far as your gear. You don't have to tell them everything if you got some, some low budget stuff. but that's what it's about though, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's funny that you talked about that, because I just recently had someone comment on my Pixel 8 Pro video asking me what I was using. So I got a new camera early last year. I wanted to go mirrorless, and so I got a Canon M6. I wanted something small, light, but I wanted something that I could get different lenses for. So one of the reasons that I like this is because it's got the flip up screen. So like if you're videoing yourself, you can see yourself, right? And I know a lot of people like the other screen that like folds out. It probably would have been better, but this phone was everything I wanted except for that. So I took that as a sacrifice. But what I did was, because if you use the hot shoe that's on top, that's what this is, the hot shoe. For people that don't know, when you flip it up, if you put anything there, you can't see the screen. So I put a small rig cage on it, which allows me to put stuff that normally would go on the hot shoe, like a microphone or something, goes on the side. And then I got a wide angle Sigma. This is a 16 millimeter lens, which this is got a little bit of a crop to it, but not much. So, but the wide angle helps because I film a lot of events. So for me, like if I'm tight and there's a lot of people at the event, having this wide angle lets me like still be real close to the subject, but not have to, but I can still deal with the people because I can be real close instead of having to be far, far away and a bunch of people be walking in front of me and stuff like that. So that's the camera that I use. And then I use the Rode Go microphones. I'd used those before. They're just real easy to set up. I mean, basically just plug them in, turn them on, and they work. And they've got really good audio. But I did buy a Ulanzi, just a lapel that just plugs into that microphone. And I bought a ring light last year just to give myself a little bit better lighting. But other than that, I mean, I'm using a Mac Mini to edit, and then I'm using Final Cut for all of my videos. So, I mean, you don't have to, like, I think this camera altogether costs maybe around, with the cage, probably close to $1,000, maybe $1,200 at the most. Mm-hmm. It's getting a little older, so you can probably get it a lot cheaper now. And but it works fine. It's mirrorless. It's got a very minimum crop on it because it's not a full frame camera. But like I said, I've just put that wide angle on there. I did a lot of research, but that's it. My top down shots, I either use an iPhone or S23 Ultra, or sometimes I'll use the Pixel or my Nothing phone. I just 4K 60, get good light on it. I've got a tripod there for those top-down shots, and that's it. Nothing special. Like I see people all the time say they're worried about like what they use and how to get into this or whatever, but like my setup is fairly cheap. I mean, it's less than $3,000 for everything that I have, and but you're probably like me. We've talked about before. Like when I started out, I was just shooting on a phone. Like I literally had a phone. That was it. And I think I upgraded to wireless mics that could plug into the phone. But I mean, literally, like I didn't have a whole bunch to start with. And like some of my biggest videos, my review videos on my channel are when I was shooting with a phone. So it's really not about the equipment. I mean, good equipment makes a good video if you know what you're doing with it. But at the same time, I just like, when I see people scared to start because they don't think they got the equipment, I'm just like, just throw it out there. You never know. I mean, you just got to start. So your turn.
All right. Whew. Wow, Devon Digital got a lot of equipment. So I don't have everything in front of me to like show you on camera. But I got a whole, I can grab this. Let me just grab it. All right. Oh, sorry. So I have this bag full of all my video equipment, from mics, to holders and cages and wireless mics in here. I got everything up in there. So also use the Pixel 8 Pro for my video now as well. And I use my Canon EOS-R for my YouTube videos. And this one right here is my Canon RP that I use for my live streams. This is where I have set up permanently. And then my R6 is for my photography. So I have 3 cameras. Just like Roddy, I started off with my iPhone 11 first, and then I upgraded to the exact camera that he's using now, which is the M50. I got it for about $480 something at the time without a lens. I got it used. And then I bought a adapter to it and adapted EF glass to it with a 50 millimeter and some other lenses. And that was my vlogging camera for a long time on my channel. I just wanted to upgrade from the iPhone. iPhone did well, but I saved up enough money to, move away from the iPhone. That's kind of like what it's about. My microphone, I got two of these. The other one way over there. I got three of these microphones actually. This is the Samsung G-Track. My man Galen actually told me about this microphone, fell in love with it, so I bought three. Don't ask me why I bought three. I bought three, one for my setup right here on the desk, and then one for my YouTube videos, and then a spare one because we break equipment. So I know, just like, and it was on sale. So I just said, look, let me just get an extra one just in case. And guess what? I broke one of my mics. So it fell over, and it was only one channel, and it just wouldn't work as far as the channel goes, and it irritated me. So I sold it to somebody for $50. They was okay. They just added the channel editing in post, or whatever, the second channel. They went from mono to stereo, but I didn't want to keep doing that to every edit, so I just said cool. Anyways, I'm using LED lights for my setup. One is over here, and then one is over here. So I got them right here. They're I think they're like 600 watts or whatever like that. I use those. They do change colors and stuff like that. Also got smaller LEDs, which I have one right here on this camera right here. It's not on, but I use that as well. And I use Rode mics. I got Boya wireless mics that I like to use for my phone. I just made a post on my X right now about it, so you can go ahead and see that right now. Let's see. And then I do use Macs as well. I use a M1 Mac Air for, actually, I do have a Mac Air, but I don't use it for editing because I don't like editing on small screens. But I do edit on my Mac Mini, M2 Mac Pro, and then an M1 Mac Mini. Sorry. Yeah, both of them Mac Minis. So the studio one is in my bedroom now, and then the bedroom one is in my studio. This is the studio. My wife, she kept complaining about me being in the studio too long, so I swapped my Macs. I just unplugged them, swapped them around, and I do most of the editing in there. I shoot in here, and then I go edit in there, so she can see me because she be tripping. So, and I use Final Cut as well, but I bounce between Final Cut and DaVinci sometimes. It depends on what I'm trying to do real quick. Yeah. So I bounce between the two. So yeah, that's my simple setup. But currently my setup has just really been this, not for the studio, but like anything outside the studio. Like I got a gimbal, DJI gimbal, and I just pop this phone up there, and I'm pop my microphone up in the USB-C port, and I'm out. I'm out there. So I just released a video while we talking right now, like right now, using it popped up. I'm using this phone, and I'm using my Boya microphones right now. So check it out right now. Yeah. So it's gonna be dope. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next section. Let me grab my notes out of here. I'm so sorry that I didn't have this up already. So we're gonna skip one section because we kind of already talked about our devices that we use. Well, I'm gonna let Roddy say the device that he's using because we don't know the other device that he's using because oh wait, actually we do. But anyways, yeah, you know where I'm getting at, Roddy. I'm gonna let you just talk about that Nothing One experience before we close this out again, because he became like Mr. Nothing. I'm Mr. Pixel. He became Mr. Nothing. He loves that phone so much, and like kind of how I fell in love with the Pixels. He's been falling in love with the Nothing phone. So that's kind of been his baseline experience on any phone out of everything that's out. And look, again, it's not even the best phone out, you would say, right? But he loves it, and that's okay. And that's okay. Yeah. But go ahead, Roddy. You got the mic.
All right. So, I'll try to make it quick. But, like, I don't know. One thing was I'd heard a lot of good stuff from people that I respect. And I know you can't, like, go off of what everyone says without seeing it. But there are certain people that I know that just, like, keep it real. And I heard them talking about they like this phone. Try it out. So I didn't get the phone 1. I got the phone 2. And when I first got it, it was pretty good. I was fairly impressed with it, but it was like the longer it kind of stayed around, the more I was really impressed with it. But they also, Nothing put out a beta as well for this phone. They've got a beta 2.5, and that beta 2.5, like when it becomes stable, which it's been extremely stable for me, but I don't know what other people's experience is, but for me, like when I switched over to the 2.5 beta, holy crap. Like this phone, the battery life I bet it's probably 50% better than whenever I first got the phone. I like literally have not put this phone on charge all day, and it's still at 64%. And I've been up I've been up for 12 hours. So it's like, and this is my main device. And you can see I've got the glyph interface on and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. It's just something about like this phone really made me feel like I could really have my own experience with the device, the way I set it up. It's pretty much vanilla Android minus a few little, and it's really not even anything inside the system. It's more or less like aesthetic stuff on how things look. You can resize your apps and change the shape of if you have like a folder or whatever. And then they've got it where you like this, where like all of your apps are one color. Like you can go monochrome with them, and then none of them have any colors. They all have one color, and you can make it match your background, all that kind of stuff. I have to have the color because that's how I recognize them. But yeah, I don't know. So it's like a lot of people talk about, okay, it looks like an iPhone, like the shape of it, which it does. But the difference is it's thinner and just a little bit taller, which makes it just that much easier to like hold in your hand. And then just other things like the dot matrix was really nice. It's easy to read. I don't know. I think the biggest thing is it's just different. Like you don't see people with it. And you know, a lot of people go, the lights on the back are just fancy lights that light up. Well, yeah, they kind of are, but like once you've had the phone for a while and you get it set up to where like that glyph interface is on, and I know like right now I'm looking at the phone laying down, and I've got certain apps that I have set to like priority, and so it has one light that tells me I've got a notification from that app. So like I know that I've got some kind of text message from somebody that I need to read, versus if that light's not on and the back of the phone lights up, I know it's just a random notification. I don't have to go look at it right now and go look at it later. But the phone has been so solid, like how well it's performed, how smooth it is. The cameras shoot way better than everyone says they do, and better than I think they should. And just for a mid-range phone to perform like at a pro level like this one has, it's just been, I don't know, it's been a little eye-opening that a phone that you can go out and pay $600 or $700 for, just buy it outright, and then it perform as good as any flagship that I have in here. It just there's no certain point of it that I'm just kind of like missing anything. Like there's nothing on that phone, no pun intended, that's really missing. There's a few things that I would really like for them to improve on. I really hope that they put, you know, a 3-camera system in there. I'm not a big zoom guy, but I know a lot of people are, and I think that would kind of elevate the brand a little bit more. The screen could be a little bit brighter. I don't have a problem with that because I don't run a screen at full brightness, but I do know that's been a big complaint of people. And there are times like where I'm outside and like I can read it and I can see it, but it's almost kind of like, probably most people would want this brighter. I can see people kind of wanting that. And then the speaker system is probably for me, my experience, the speakers are probably the weakest point of the phone. And I think that I only noticed that because I've got an S23 Ultra and I've got the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the speakers on those two phones, they're literally like little portable speakers that you could carry around with you. But other than that, like I think the biggest thing is it's different. It's super solid, and I just know I can trust it. Battery life, reception, performance, cameras, just like the whole 9 yards. It's just super. I just trust this device. I don't go on a trip or go anywhere that I know I'm going to be away from home or whatever for a long time without this phone, because I know this phone's going to last. And if I got to shoot pictures or whatever that I need to keep or that I want to keep, and I just need something that's just reliable, it's this phone. It's reliable. I trust it. It's kind of like a security blanket. It's like I'm wrapped up in it and I'm safe. So yeah, that's why I have fallen in love with it. Is that I think the brand's cool. I think what Nothing's doing, they're taking some risk. Some of those risks have not paid off for them this year, and they know that. But I think that like a phone that's only on like the second version of what it is to be doing this good, you just have to really be excited for what they're doing. So yeah, that's me. It's like they've just kind of won me over from the brand to how well the phone is, and I just really enjoy, their small little takes on how they do certain things. So
I have to agree with you, man. I actually got my eye on Nothing. I'm just not ready to pull the trigger yet. So next year I might go with the Nothing 3, try that out. But aesthetics aside or whatever, the glyph and everything like that. I don't like to call things a gimmick or anything. It's just a really cool feature to make your phone look cool. Cause I mean, you gotta admit, we talk about this all the time about looks of phones, and that is the most unique looking phone out there that I've seen so far.
it
And
is.
they get points for that, for me at least, because I'm not a person who's like, oh man, just because the latest gimmicks. I do take my phones and put them face down, so having that glyph is not a gimmick to me. That's pretty cool to know. Oh, that notification means I got a message. This one means I got a missed call. This one means whatever. I mean, it'd be even better if they like added colors, right? Like make it RGB, and then you can colorize the notifications and stuff like that. To me, never a gimmick. Like people like they think that they say the temperature sensor up here is a gimmick, but I just had a baby. I use this for her bottles. Like this was perfect timing. Now granted, afterwards, after she's older and stuff like that, will it be used a lot? Probably no, because I do use it to check my temperature and other people's temperatures and stuff like that. If someone say they're hot or whatever, but because I mean you can check human temperatures up here, it's just not approved, which means that you can't be like, well,
Right.
my phone, you can't like be like, check your temperature up here and run to the hospital and say my phone said
My
it was
phone
hot,
said-
so I came here. So
They'd be like, "What? Your phone?"
your phone, yeah, hold on, that's not approved. Okay, hold on, so we can't go by that, so we need to check it. Like, nah, but that's what the approval means. It can check your temperature, human temperature. Just because the feature not in there, it checks any surface type of temperature. So you can put it right here and then check it, and then you can take a thermometer and check it for real, and you can see that it's going to be maybe either 2 or 3 points over or under. It's like give or take. That's kind of what it is or whatever. So it's not super duper accurate, but it's like give or take. But it gives you a rough estimate. It's almost like these smartwatches. They're not 100% accurate. They're like either 2% difference or 98% or something like that accurate or whatever. They're just not 100. So with that being said, I really enjoy the Pixel experience as much as him enjoying the Nothing phone. I think the Pixel experience offers me something different that's on the market, just like Nothing is providing for him. I think across the board, when it comes to Samsung and Apple, you kind of like know what you're going to get. We've been getting the same experience with them for so long, but Google, since the Pixel 6 and switching to AI, it's new. It's something different and it's growing. As you can see, other industries are actually tapping into the AI stuff, and Google knows it, and they're giving you that quality of life experience on it. Even Samsung this year with the S24 Ultra, I'm pretty sure Roddy heard the rumors too that they're trying to make it an AI phone. They get the picture. They get it.
Yep.
So
Right.
just keep that in mind. And then Apple's going to be on board one day too. Trust me, they will. As much as you guys who love Apple so much and don't care about this AI stuff, is going to end up happening with you guys too. And then you're going to love it because that's just how it works. Until Apple get it, you don't care about it. And when they get it, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread,
Mhm.
So, not coming at anybody, but other than that, I hope you all really enjoyed this podcast. I really enjoy having you up here, Roddy, talking, man. And I can't wait to try the Nothing 3 phone. I'm sorry, it's a little too late for me to get the 2 because I know 3 around the corner. I do know it's around the corner. So I'm just gonna hold off.
Just
I'm
a
gonna
few
check
months.
that phone out. Yeah, and I do hope that we do get color options, because I sent you, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. I tagged you in that, Jane.
Yeah.
Man, that
You want
green, bro.
lights?
That
This man
green, bro.
wants
Woo! That green was screaming my name, man. I was like, yeah, I'm not saying that I'm going to lead the Pixel experience. Just like Roddy, I'm pretty sure he's content. Well, maybe not, because Roddy, he's been going through these phones. But me, I'm pretty much content with the Pixel experience. It's going to be always my main driver until otherwise. And then I'm always going to be open to trying other phones, though, within budget, because I don't want to buy stuff that I'm not going to use and everything like that. So, anything you want to say, Roddy, before we close out, man? About to head out.
No, just come back again for more. We'll talk about. I'm sure we're gonna have. We'll discuss like what we think phone of the year is. We're gonna talk about what we're looking forward to. I'm sure we'll start seeing more leaks for 2024.
Got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about. It's been a crazy year, man, for tech. It's been crazy.
It's been crazy, but it's been a good one. It's been a good one.
RCS is coming to iPhone next year. We got
Type C.
Yeah. Pixel Fold 2 is coming.
Yes.
It's going to be a thing. So,
yes.
We'll see.
And don't forget about the exciting news about the Galaxy Z Fold 6 possible. We might get a wider display. Not saying that I'm going to get it, but for the ones that have been waiting, you're about to have it. You're about to have it. I'm still sticking to this form factor right now for the moment. That's why I pray Google doesn't change it, but I feel like they might get pressured into it because everybody else is like praising the other form factor. So please don't cave, Google. This is it.
I just want them to get the Pixel 8 camera. If they get the 8 Pro camera, man, that's like the best. That's going to be the best.
Yes. I think I said to somebody before. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to close out. I think I said to somebody before that the biggest upgrades I want is like a flagship camera inside the Pixel Fold. Probably faster charging, just to have it. I mean, the charging doesn't bother me. How slow it is now, it doesn't bother me because my phone lasts all day. And then maybe they can probably, and I could be wrong, I don't know, but maybe they can bump the phone up to 6.1 and still keep this form factor. I'm not sure. Because I think anything past that, because I think anything past that would take it out of the book form, right? I think, am I right?
Yeah, because you're right.
Okay. So maybe 6.1, maybe. And then go from there or whatever.
Which would be smart because it would be smart because they have the 7A is 6.1 inch, so they already have a good kind of benchmark there.
Okay, cool. So I kind of figured because I don't want them to get the longer narrow screen. I want them to still have this book form. This is what I want. When I open it, I still want it to be like this, but I wouldn't mind having like a little bit more up here in for tablet, like so. But if that compromises it, stick with the 5.8. I'm okay with it. Just thin those bezels out in the middle for the sake of everybody else, right? Everybody who complain about it, everybody who don't own the phone who complains about the bezels, let's thin it out for them. We got to satisfy the people who don't like pixels. So that's how that works in the community.
That don't buy them.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyways, I appreciate everyone coming through. Roddy, I appreciate you coming through, and we'll catch y'all on the next podcast. Peace out.